If you're thinking about getting into corporate learning and development, you might be wondering how much money you can make. Hey, it's Jeff with yourlearningcareer.com. I've been in corporate learning and development for over 20 years, so I can tell you from my experience that you can make really good money in this field. But just how much money? Well, of course, it depends. What's the job title? Where are you doing the job? What are your responsibilities? So there are all kinds of things that factor into it. But I thought I would give you at least an idea of how much you can make in certain positions based on my experience. My first training job, where I actually had training responsibilities, was when I worked at Walt Disney World. Now, in those jobs, I should say, I was not a full-time trainer. So I did training as part of my regular jobs, which ranged from the character department to Disney Vacation Club member services. I worked at Disney's Contemporary Resort. So I had a lot of different jobs while I was at Disney World. And in some of the departments, I was a trainer. And then I also taught Walt Disney World traditions. Now, this was early 90s. So you got to take that into account too. As I'm telling you these salaries, you got to take into account inflation and all that kind of stuff. But at that time, I was making between $7 and I think $10 or $12 an hour. I think when I left, I was topped out at maybe, I don't know, I want to say 10, 12 bucks an hour. But again, this was early 90s. And I think when I did training, I made like an extra 10 cents an hour, something like that. So yeah, now let's cut to my first full-time training role. So my first full-time, like where I was full-time training, that came in the late 90s, and I was a regional sales trainer for CarMax. In that position, I made about $42,000 a year. So not a crazy amount of money. And again, this was like 20 years ago. Next, I went to a job where I was doing both, because what I realized as a trainer was I really wanted to be involved with the development and design of the training that I was teaching. So the next role I went for was a training specialist role. And as a training specialist, I was responsible for both designing and delivering the training. And in that role in late 90s, early 2000s, I was making about $45,000 a year. Okay, so again, nothing that was going to let me retire early, but it was a living. So I worked there a couple of years, and then my next role was with a nonprofit where, again, I was going to be a specialist. It was a specialist position. I think specifically it was called staff development specialist. And when I moved into that role, which was again going to be both training, delivery, and design, I bumped up my salary to $55,000. That was like early 2000s. I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went to work for a small healthcare consulting company. Now in that job, I was, again, it was a specialist, like a training specialist role, where I was going to do training delivery and training design. And now I was also being introduced to e-learning. This was in the mid 2000s. And in that role, I got $65,000. And that company actually ended up getting purchased by IBM. So I worked for Big Blue for a while. And then I left to work for a large hospital system here in Houston, Texas. And for that job, I got $75,000. Now in that role, I was there for 9 years. And it was again a specialist position where I was doing training delivery, training design, and definitely e-learning. Like they very much wanted someone who could design and develop e-learning. So I added that more of that to the mix. And in those 9 years, I got raises. And when I left, I was making almost $90,000 a year. So again, doing a combination of roles: training delivery, training design, and e-learning design and development. And now finally, in my current role, so I decided I didn't want to do the training delivery anymore. I realized I really want to focus more on the design and development. And so I decided I wanted to be full-time instructional design. I also, while I was there, I got my master's degree in educational technology. And I just thought, this is really the kind of stuff I want to focus on. I wanted to get away from the classroom teaching. So my current role, I am a senior instructional designer. Now, for this role, I had to have not only many, many years of experience, but the master's degree was also a requirement for this role. So to get into these senior positions will oftentimes require, like I said, a lot more experience and a higher degree. In this role, I got another raise, from my previous job. So now I'm in six-figure territory. So yes, you can make really good money in corporate learning and development. For me, I made more money as I got more experience. Now, let me share one more example with you, because this kind of blew me away. If you are in the instructional design or e-learning space, and if you're looking into that career, those kinds of careers, you've probably come across Devlin Peck. And so he actually had a video where he talked about his salary. He does freelancing. So I've never done freelancing. And after watching his video, I'm kind of kicking myself. I'm like, why didn't I do freelancing a long time ago? Because he shares in his video, I think his first year of full-time freelancing, he says he made $180,000. What? I can tell you, I don't make that much, okay? Now, does everybody make that much money when they're a freelancer? No, I'm sure they don't. But the point is, there is that potential. If you are willing to put the work in, the time, if you're willing to promote yourself, get the business, yeah, you can make a lot of money. So by all means, if that's something that's interesting to you, the idea of being a freelance trainer, instructional designer, e-learning developer, whatever the case may be, you should definitely explore it. So that's just my little sliver of L&D salary info. Like I said, of course, it's all going to depend, but hopefully that gives you an idea. It really is a great career path. There are lots of different directions you can go. It's a lot of fun. There are a lot of really great people in the field. So if you are considering it, I would say yes, go for it. It's been really good to me, and like I said, I highly recommend it. If you want some more information on a career in learning and development, I'm going to link to some helpful videos here and in the description. I'll also put some other resources in there. I've got links to articles and some books to check out, so take a look in the description. I'll have some good resources for you. And as always, I want to thank you for watching. Give me a like if you found this helpful, and we will see you next time.